The story of the Bauhaus begins in Germany after the First World War. It was a time of great change and turmoil. The old world had been shattered, and many people were looking for new ways of thinking and living. In the city of Weimar, in 1919, an architect named Walter Gropius founded a new kind of school. He called it the Bauhaus, which translates to building house. This was not just a name, it was a mission. Gropius dreamed of a place where all forms of art and craft would come together. He wanted to break down the old stuffy barriers that separated painters, sculptors, architects, and craftsmen. The school was a bold experiment, a beacon of hope in a country trying to rebuild itself from the ashes of conflict and tradition. The initial years of the Bauhaus were filled with an electric sense of possibility and creative energy. Students and masters, as the teachers were called, lived and worked together in a close-knit community. They came from different backgrounds, bringing diverse skills and perspectives to the school. The curriculum was unlike anything seen before. It started with a preliminary course, the Vorkurs, which was designed to strip away students' preconceived notions about art. This foundational course, often led by figures like Johannes Itten, taught the fundamental principles of materials, color theory, and composition. The goal was to help each student discover their own creative potential before they specialized in a particular workshop, such as metalworking, weaving, or typography. The political climate in Germany was unstable, and the Bauhaus often found itself in the middle of controversy. Its progressive ideas and international faculty were seen as radical and even dangerous by conservative forces. The school was forced to move from Weimar to the industrial city of Dessau in 1925. It was here that Gropius designed the famous Bauhaus building, a masterpiece of modern architecture that embodied the school's principles. With its clean lines, glass curtain walls, and functional design, the building itself became a symbol of the movement. This move marked a new phase for the Bauhaus, one where its focus shifted more decisively towards industrial design and mass production, solidifying its future impact on the world. Despite the external pressures, the spirit of innovation inside the Bauhaus thrived. The school was a melting pot of avant-garde ideas, attracting some of the most forward-thinking artists and designers of the era. Wassily Kandinsky, Paul Klee, and Laszlo Moholy-Nagy were among the masters who taught there, each contributing to the unique educational environment. They encouraged experimentation and a hands-on approach to learning. The workshops were not just classrooms, they were laboratories for developing new products and new ways of seeing the world. The Bauhaus was more than just a school. It was a movement that sought to create a total work of art, a Gesamtkunstwerk that would shape every aspect of modern life. At the very heart of the Bauhaus was a revolutionary philosophy to reunite art with craftsmanship. For centuries, a divide had grown between the fine arts, like painting and sculpture, and the applied arts, like furniture making and pottery. The fine artist was seen as a genius, separate from society, while the craftsman was considered a mere technician. Walter Gropius and his colleagues rejected this hierarchy completely. They believed that artists and craftsmen should be one and the same. The ultimate aim of all artistic activity, Gropius declared in the Bauhaus Manifesto, was the building. He envisioned a future where architects, sculptors, and painters would work together to create the buildings of the future, unified in a single artistic expression. This core idea led to a curriculum that emphasized practical skills and a deep understanding of materials. Every student, regardless of their eventual specialization, had to learn the fundamentals of making things by hand. They explored the properties of wood, metal, glass, and textiles in the workshops. This hands-on experience was crucial because the Bauhaus taught that form should not be arbitrarily imposed on an object. Instead, the design should emerge from the object's function and the nature of its materials. This principle, often summarized by the phrase "form follows function," became a central tenet of modern design. It meant creating objects that were not only beautiful, but also practical, efficient, and honest in their construction. Another key principle was the embrace of technology and mass production. While the movement valued traditional craftsmanship, it did not look to the past. The leaders of the Bauhaus recognized that the industrial age had arrived, and they wanted to harness its power for good. They believed that well-designed functional objects should not be luxury items available only to the wealthy. Instead, they aimed to create prototypes for products that could be manufactured industrially and made accessible to everyone. This desire to improve the quality of everyday life for the masses was a deeply social and democratic ideal. They saw good design as a tool for creating a better, more equitable society for all people. This new way of thinking required a new aesthetic. The ornate decorative styles of the past, like those of the Victorian era, were rejected. In their place, the Bauhaus championed a style based on simplicity and geometric clarity. Designs were often reduced to their essential components, using basic shapes like circles, squares, and triangles. Colors were used deliberately, often focusing on primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, along with black and white. This clean, rational, and unadorned look was a radical departure from what had come before. It was a visual language for a new modern world, one that was ordered, efficient, and forward-looking. The ideas developed at the Bauhaus did not remain confined to the classroom. They quickly found their way into the real world, transforming the objects people used every day. The school's workshops became laboratories for innovation, producing prototypes for furniture, lighting, textiles, and household goods that would go on to become icons of modern design. These were not just artistic exercises, they were practical solutions for modern living. The goal was to create objects that were affordable, functional, and aesthetically pleasing, thereby improving the domestic environment for the general population. The Bauhaus aimed to design a better world, starting from the inside of the home and working its way outward. One of the most famous examples of this philosophy in action is the Wassily chair, designed by Marcel Breuer. Inspired by the strong yet lightweight frame of a bicycle, Breuer experimented with bent tubular steel to create the chair's structure. This was a revolutionary use of an industrial material for domestic furniture. The resulting chair was light, transparent, and appeared almost to float in space. It was a complete break from the heavy, upholstered armchairs of the past. The Wassily chair perfectly embodied the Bauhaus principles of using modern materials, embracing industrial production, and creating a form that was both simple and functional. It demonstrated how industrial techniques could create elegant and practical objects for the home. The influence of the Bauhaus extended far beyond furniture. In the weaving workshop, under the guidance of artists like Annie Albers and Gunther Stolzel, students created textiles with bold abstract patterns and new material combinations. These were not just decorative fabrics. They were designed with specific functions in mind, such as sound absorption or durability. In the metal workshop, Marianne Brandt designed iconic household items, including her famous teapot. The teapot was designed for easy, efficient mass production, with a form based on simple geometric shapes like circles and hemispheres. It featured a non-drip spout and a heat-resistant handle, making it a masterpiece of functional design that is still admired today. Even the way we see letters and text was changed by the Bauhaus. Typographers like Herbert Bayer developed new, clean, and highly legible sans serif fonts. They argued that typography should be clear and direct, a tool for communication rather than ornamentation. They experimented with layouts using geometric grids, lowercase letters only, and a dynamic use of white space to create posters, books, and advertisements. This approach to graphic design emphasized clarity and order, and it laid the foundation for much of the visual communication we see around us today, from corporate logos to website interfaces. The Bauhaus truly left its mark on almost every facet of visual culture. The Bauhaus school itself had a short and turbulent existence. Under increasing pressure from the rising Nazi regime, which condemned its work as degenerate art, the school was forced to close its doors for good in 1933. However, the closure of the school did not mean the end of its ideas. In fact, it was just the beginning of its global influence. Many of the key figures of the Bauhaus, including Walter Gropius, Marcel Breuer, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, and Mies van der Rohe, emigrated from Germany. They took the Bauhaus philosophy with them, spreading its principles to other parts of Europe and, most significantly, to the United States. They became influential teachers and practitioners in their new homes, ensuring the movement's survival and evolution. The impact of these émigrés was profound, especially in the fields of architecture and design education in America. Walter Gropius became a professor at Harvard University, where he helped shape a new generation of architects. Mies van der Rohe became the head of the architecture school at what is now the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. His less is more philosophy came to define the modern skyscraper, and his influence can be seen in the glass and steel skylines of cities all over the world. The Bauhaus educational model, with its preliminary course and workshop-based training, was adapted and integrated into art and design schools globally, becoming a standard for creative education that persists to this day. Today, more than a century after its founding, the legacy of the Bauhaus is all around us, often in ways we don't even notice. The principles of clean lines, simple forms, and functional design have become so ingrained in our visual culture that we often take them for granted. Think of the minimalist aesthetic of many technology products, the functional design of IKEA furniture, or the clear sans serif typography used on websites and public signs. All of these have their roots in the revolutionary ideas that were born in Weimar, Dessau, and Berlin. The Bauhaus taught the world that good design is not about adding decoration, it is about finding the simplest, most elegant solution to a problem. In conclusion, the Bauhaus was far more than just an art school. It was a bold and optimistic movement that believed in the power of art and design to create a better society. It broke down old barriers, united art with technology, and championed a vision of functional, accessible design for everyone. Even though the school itself lasted only 14 years, its philosophy of simplicity, functionality, and social responsibility continues to inspire and influence designers, artists, and architects across the globe. The Bauhaus proved that thoughtful design has the power to shape not only the objects we use, but also the world we live in, a lesson that remains as relevant today as it was in 1919.